we know that there was an object beyond our atmosphere in deep space that had approached us with alarming closeness. And I think maybe you guys have heard of this. We're going to be a little bit behind us, but let's take a look at what is 3I Atlas. All right, in our last episode, we took a look at some Navy pilot footage, official released footage of UFOs, UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon that the Pentagon confirmed are real insofar as they are objects in the sky they have not been able to concretely identify. Now, these are objects that are within our atmosphere, but we recently in the news, we know that there was an object beyond our atmosphere in deep space that had approached us with alarming closeness. And I think maybe you guys have heard of this. We're going to be a little bit behind us, but let's take a look at what is 3I Atlas. Okay. It is an interstellar comet that was discovered on July 1st, 2025, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Survey Telescope, which is located in the country of Chile. The 3 means the third interstellar object ever confirmed to pass through our solar system. The I stands for interstellar, indicating origin outside of our solar system. Atlas acknowledges the survey system that discovered it. Okay. The trajectory and the motion, its orbits, was hyperbolic, meaning 3I Atlas is moving too fast to be gravitationally bound to the sun. Now that's very interesting. It came from interstellar space and will leave again. Closest approaches, it made its closest approach to the sun on October 30th at roughly 1.4 astronomical units, a bit inside the orbit of Mars. No threat to Earth. Now, this was a bit different when we first started hearing about this in late summer. Its closest approach to our planet will be 170 million miles, so there is no danger. It is my rudimentary understanding that that is widely considered very close. Now, our concept of 170 million miles obviously is quite large. However, in the grand scheme of space and in the vastness of outer space, it's not very far. So far, observations show a nucleus, a halo of gas and dust. Initially, I do believe that this was something that we were unable to determine whether or not it was simply a comet or asteroid approaching our solar system. Because let's look here, primitive metal-bearing composition. Recent studies propose that it could be a pristine carbonaceous comet with notable metal content. And I think this notable metal content was initially what confused some astronomers into what the nature of this object was. Of course, there were hypotheses that this could be of extraterrestrial origin. Indeed, it is of extraterrestrial origin. However, I think what they were indicating was that it was of some sort of alien engineered origin. Now, of course, that has proved not to be the truth. Okay, so let's take a look at what still remains uncertain about it. Because of the bright coma and dust surrounding the nucleus, the exact size of the structure remains uncertain. Some early public speculation, and this is what I wanted to get to right here, that some of the early public speculation, including individuals outside of mainstream science, had suggested artificial origin. But everything we've now seen as it grew closer to us certainly depicts it is a comet. Let's take a look at some of the most recent images here. that it was passing. They have observed cryovolcanoes erupting on the comet. Okay, yeah, that would certainly indicate that it is not of some sort of engineered origin. The trajectory of the comet, you can see its trajectory here. Yeah, look, that's pretty darn close. It's certainly, I could see how far out it was. It could have looked at one point headed straight for us, in which case, sure, I see why the alarm bells went off in a lot of these cases. All right, we're going to do a little bit more with what the trajectory of the 3i Atlas was here in our next episode. And I believe that we have come to a conclusion. You know what? No, let's go ahead and let's just do this now. You might not be able to see me put this into the chat because my screen is a little low, but let's go ahead and just do this now. I want to put in here, and it says, why was the trajectory of the 3i Atlas of interest to astronomers, astrophysicists, and physicists? Let's just see what they have to say here. Yeah, okay, so again, we go back up to, this is an extraterrestrial object, that it came from interstellar space, meaning outside of our solar system. Almost impossible. I can't imagine that we're able to determine its original origins, but take a look here. The hyperbolic trajectory was that it was not drawn by the gravitational pull of the sun. Its incoming vector appeared to originate from an unusual part of the Milky Way. Early reconstruction has suggested that 3i Atlas may have originated from the thick disk of the galaxy, not the thin disk where most nearby stars are. Thick disk objects tend to be older, possibly dating to the early Milky Way history. Wow, boy, my mind is kind of unable to fathom the absolute breadth of time that is involved when we're talking about these sort of objects. The trajectory was unusually stable. Now, this is what I was trying to look for earlier, that the trajectory was unusually stable and easy to model compared with ʻOumuamua. It was the ʻOumuamua. Oh, it's close enough, right? Exhibited non-gravitational acceleration that sparked a flood of hypotheses, and of course you can draw your own conclusion on what those hypotheses were. Its passage geometry made it unusually well placed for observation. Yeah, so all right, sure appears that it is a comet, but then you start looking at sort of these things like it was unusually well placed for its observation. Its high incoming speed helped test theories of interstellar object ejection. The trajectory suggested possible outbursts, cryovolcanic jets. Its path offered a once per century chance to test our ability to track interstellar objects. All right. I am of the belief that this is 100% what they're saying it is. It is a comet, but I absolutely understand why initially when we detected this object, it was something that people might have jumped to the conclusion that this was engineered by something that was propelled by some force, maybe a jet or whatever propulsion system used to head towards us. Boy, is this fascinating stuff. I think it just, it further cements and solidifies for me that there's so much that we don't know and so much that we are unable to understand, that to automatically discount the fact that there are perhaps interstellar and objects that maybe we've not seen, and that we're looking at these UFO videos where I'm going to find a few more. There's so many questions to be asked that we probably cannot answer, which draws us to the only logical conclusion that which cannot be disproven must remain a possibility. All right, that's it for now. Until next time, keep your eyes